Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors, and if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled, Let Him Steal This Car. I had just moved back to the USA after living in Germany for several years. Taking a job in the Midwest, I had arranged to rent an apartment sight unseen so that I had a place to ship my belongings to, and figured the short lease would give me time to house shop after arriving. So I thought my ducks were all in a row. That was of course before realizing I had inadvertently moved into the crime center of my new city. I was not overly concerned because I tend to keep to myself, and I am generally easy to get along with. But I would soon make a critical mistake. Having sold off my vehicle prior to moving, shipping cars is super expensive, and since I had spent a number of years driving old clunkers in constant states of repair, I decided it was a good time to invest in a nice new SUV to get this next life chapter underway. I arranged with the property management company to secure a garage for the vehicle and brought it home that evening. This is where a memorable, albeit short, exchange gets very strange. EM is the entitled mother from the apartment above mine, TT is troubled teen and child of EM because he was around 17. As I rolled into the parking area, I first pulled up near the building entrance to unload a furniture item I had picked up for the new place. TT stood wide-eyed as he observed the shiny new vehicle. He walked around it and looked inside in a way that frankly left me feeling a little uneasy. To try to break the awkwardness, I attempted to engage him in small talk. Me, how's it going? TT, sup? Then he pulled out a cell phone and walked away to make a call. I finished unloading the vehicle and proceeded to park it in the garage I had rented. As I exited the garage and closed the bay door, I noticed TT is now looking right at me and running over. TT, hey man, what's your garage code? I was both shocked by the question and confused because I was not given any code, just an opener remote. Me, excuse me? TT, your garage code, what is it? Me, I really have no idea what you're talking about. Give it! He leaned in aggressively. Me, you need to step back. At this point, EM notices that I'm getting angry and beginning to assume a defensive posture in conversation with her son, so she zips across the parking lot screaming at me. EM, hey, what do you think you're doing to my son? Me, your son is insisting I give him my garage code. EM, yeah, well, okay, so? Me, so 1, I have no code to give, and 2, I would not be giving out a code even if I did. EM, why don't you give him the code? Me, what? Did you not hear what I just said? Why would he need a code to my garage anyway? EM proceeds to look at TT with a, now what? We did not rehearse for Q&A kind of look. Then the duo returned their gazes back on me. At this point, EM leaned her forehead way in and peered through bulging eyes as if she hoped to run a competition between her pupils and her eyebrows. It was clearly time for condescension. EM, now you listen here. There ain't no reason you don't give him your code. I was dumbfounded. TT, you gonna give me the code or not? Me, no. Both of you need to leave me the hell alone. I pushed past them and moved toward the building. They both followed closely, whispering things to each other and snickering, but ultimately broke off and went up the stairs as I proceeded to my door. We avoided each other the remainder of the time I lived there, or at least I avoided them. I only took note of them being there when the police were visiting their apartment, constantly arresting EM, her husband and TT on things that must not have kept them more than a day or two at a time. It seemed like they were always back at it, that is until TT was busted for stealing cars. I'm just glad to be out of that situation and that the garage did its job. And yeah, Ripe Stars, if you still enjoy the stories about awful neighbors from hell and maybe even crazy HOAs, then I would really appreciate it if you could like the video, because that would help my channel tremendously. In addition, if you have any stories to share about your own neighbors from hell, then please do so either in the comments or on r/Ripe Stories on Reddit, which is our own subreddit. Thank you so much. The next one is titled Bank Revenge Story. This actually began with something that happened 6 years ago. I was looking to buy my first house, so obviously the first place I went looking for a mortgage was where I do all of the rest of my banking. I have had a bank account at this bank for 20 plus years at this point, all the way back when my parents opened up an account for me when I was 5 or 6. I have been a client of theirs ever since, with a checking account, savings account, and got a credit card with them literally the week that I turned 18, as well as 2 vehicle loans. Credit card had never been insanely overdrawn and full, car payments never missed a single time. When I went in asking about a mortgage, they just straight up said no. Was not even a question, not even a lowball offer of like 50k less than what I was hoping to get, literally just a flat out no, and saying that they were being extra picky about first time mortgages right now. So my next stop was a mortgage broker. She was great and ended up getting me a larger amount than what I was looking for and a lower interest rate. But what she said was odd was that, again, with her putting in requests with literally every bank and mortgage lender in the entire province that I live in, the bank that I do all of my banking at was still the only place that would not give me a mortgage, which she said is extremely unusual for a request from a broker. So I ended up signing with another bank, and I went back to my original bank to explain the situation to them. They reiterated "we are just being extra picky with first time mortgages right now," said they understood my disappointment, and then tacked on, "But if you can prove that you can make the payments for 5 years with them, we'd be more than happy to take over when you need to refinance," which really pissed me off. It even made my mom go mad when I told her that she went into the bank and met with a branch manager to talk about how mad she was. Fast forward to last year, and I am ready to refinance after 5 years. Out of curiosity, I go to my original bank, who still have all of my banking except my mortgage with, and ask about refinancing, and they offer me some horrible rate that would increase my payments by like $120 per month of pure interest. So I told them to get bent, went back to new bank, and they offer me an even lower rate, which reduced my payments by $75 per month in interest, lower than the previous 5 years. The pandemic hit my work pretty bad up here, and I had spent essentially the second half of 2020 and the entirety of 2021 living off of my credit card, so that I did not miss a mortgage payment and risk losing my house. Work is now extremely busy to the point where we are booked solid into 2023 already, but now I've got a good amount of credit card debt built up that I need to pay off too. Give my original bank one more shot and go in to talk about a line of credit to do some debt consolidation to lower my interest payments and lowering my credit card limit, and they again just flat out say no. So I go to a new bank where my mortgage is and open a new checking account, open up a new savings account, give them my previous 6 pay stubs to show that I am back to working 40 plus hours a week for the past 3 months, and with those 3 things I instantly qualified for nearly 20k in credit from them, which was enough to close out everything at the other bank. I got 2 bank drafts made up and actually scheduled an appointment with the financial advisor guy who denied me the line of credit the week before, even though I knew that he was not needed to deposit the drafts. Sat down at his desk again, pulled out the drafts, and he went white. Told him one draft was for the credit card, the other was for the auto loan that I had already transferred all of the funds out of my checking and savings accounts, and that I wanted all of my accounts shut down. The branch manager poked his head in while the advisor was processing the drafts to ask what was up, and I explained to him what I had all written up and said that if they didn't want my tens of thousands of dollars of interest payments over the next 20 years, other banks happily will. All he could muster up was a half-assed apology and again, "We hope that you might come back to us again in the future." And yeah, ripe stars, I gotta say, I'm not sure where I got this from, but someone when I was young always told me that banks are definitely not your allies or friends, and you should always be careful when dealing with them. However, I am curious why OP's bank did not want to deal with him in terms of the mortgage. And the next one is titled, "Already Tired of These Neighbors." Long story short, a couple and their 4 young kids moved in next door about 3 weeks ago. Only one of the children is school-aged. Since they have moved in, it has been nothing but constant fights and contention. I constantly hear them screaming at each other and I am fed up. It lasts all hours of the night. I have 3 kids here myself, 12M, 9F and 6M, and we don't fight in front of the kids like these people do, trying not to judge here, but I am just done. The kids' bus stop is directly behind this person's house in their shared driveway. It is an apartment complex. Their door is only maybe 15 feet from the edge of the driveway. Usually their fighting is limited to nights, but today it was during the day. Full bore screaming at each other and the woman in the window, the man outside on the sidewalk. Swearing, shouting obscene and highly inappropriate stuff, etc. This lasted all day long. So I get ready to go get my kids off the bus and they are still yelling at each other, and at this point they are in the shared driveway where the kids' bus stop is versus the front of their building. I go out and at first I don't say anything, but then the conversation took an extremely inappropriate turn and I had to step in and tell them that they had better not speak like that when my kids get off the bus, or I will be the one calling the cops, screaming at each other about all kinds of inappropriate stuff like intercourse, drugs and infidelity. The other dad at the bus stop agreed and 100% had my back, thank God. Well, these people start coming at me and I had no choice but to call the cops while the other dad got in between us. I am 5'1", a small woman. So then the cops came, the man was arrested, we share the same landlord, so the woman calls the landlord to run her mouth and the landlord calls me pissed, saying that I'm supposed to call them with complaints and now I have caused unwanted attention. And by the way, Ripe Stars, I don't really understand what the landlord means by unwanted attention unless he has some kind of illegal business going on. Anyway, a user in the comments said, "Not the a-hole, some landlords think only about money. Your safety was at risk and you did the right thing. Your personal space comes first, not to mention that you want a safe environment for your children. And also, if you called the landlord instead of the cops, what would he do? Come as fast as the police? Settle stuff so both parties are happy? These landlords would have made your life hell if you turned to your landlord and not the police. Good for you, think for you and your family's safety first and take care." And another user said, "Not the a-hole, and I agree with the other commenter that now I am wondering about your landlord. When I had an abusive aggressive neighbor recently, my landlord encouraged me to call the cops. They wanted a record of the guy's bad behavior. No landlord should be discouraging you from bringing unwanted attention unless they are doing something illegal or problematic themselves, which is not your problem. You just take care of yourself and your kids, and frankly, you're probably protecting those kids as well if this is how their parents behave." And the next one is titled, "Vegans apparently don't like carnivore cats." I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She is amazing and we are super compatible in a lot of ways. She is an outspoken vegan and she made it clear at the start of our relationship that it was important to her that any potential had similar cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. We became the vegan couple on our college campus. And then there is my cat, called Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She is such a sweet and cuddly cat, however, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while, we sort of made a tacit agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff, my girlfriend and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic and we have started talking about taking our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of the relationship, she did not see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along those same lines. My girlfriend got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend that I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals, and I ended the conversation there. I was so angry that I left my GF's apartment. And I snuggled with Mittens when I got home, although the mood soured a bit when my girlfriend sent me a link to a Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. I think it goes without saying that I'm not going to get rid of my cat. However, it pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ending because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in vegan circles, and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time, but I have Mittens now and she deserves to eat. And yes, I have researched vegan cat food, but Mittens has some digestive issues and my vet strongly cautions against it. I have talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends and they all think my girlfriend has lost her mind. Some have suggested that it is not about Mittens and my girlfriend just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I have not broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I would hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. I wanna try and work something out. Where do I even go from here? I will not compromise on Mittens and I don't think my girlfriend will compromise either. And wow, this completely blew up while I was asleep. I'm trying to read every comment, but there are a lot. Also, please allow me to take this moment to reiterate that my girlfriend's views are not representative of those held by the wider vegan community. And a user in the comments said, "As a fellow vegan, no, this is not even cool. If she truly cared about animals, she would not ask you to rehome your cat. It already has a loving home. Her way of thinking is ass backwards. If someone told me I'm not a real vegan because I have a dog, I would laugh my ass off and tell them they can have their stupid label, the dog stays, he is family, just like I'm sure your cat is your family." And another user said, "She suggested to give it away? It makes no sense whatsoever. Will it consume less meat with another owner? Of course not. It's like boasting about your lack of garbage because you dump it all in your neighbor's yard." And another user said, "I wonder if this is not really about veganism but more of her finding ways in an intimate relationship to express control over her partner. The fact that she doesn't possess the skills to be flexible, compromising or negotiate with a partner is a big red flag to me." Update number 1. First of all, let me say thank you for everyone who offered advice. There are over 7,000 comments on my original post and I have dozens of PMs. Frankly, I am still overwhelmed with the magnitude of the response. I did my best to read everyone's comments, but obviously I couldn't get to everything. I would also like to preempt this post by saying, as many users pointed out, that my girlfriend's extreme views on domestic cats are not representative of the vegan and vegetarian community as a whole. I do think that sometimes new vegans can be a little overzealous. In reality, most of us are just doing the best that we can to not hurt animals. I did not expect to generate a big debate in the comments. So, we broke up obviously. I would never ever give up my cat Mittens. Many users said that this situation was about control, not veganism, and looking back I do see a pattern of control on my girlfriend's part and I was blind to it, I guess. I called my girlfriend and said I was not willing to give up Mittens under any circumstances, and given the recent issues we had and our incompatible views, I thought it was best that we parted ways. I said she deserved a partner that shared her values, and she then asked if we were breaking up. I said yes. There was some anger on her end, but otherwise the situation actually went better than I expected. So yeah, that's really it. Oh, and several users did ask to see a picture of Mittens. I have uploaded one. And that, guys, is Mittens. Really, really cute. And by the way, Ripe Stars, obviously here at the Ripe Star Foundation, we are very, very much against the extinction of domestic cats and especially against the extinction of domestic little fluffy cuddle monster house cats. So therefore I would say props to OP for breaking up with this awful woman.